Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Payoff Pitch presented by Fantasy Phenom. I'm Kyle. That's Mike. Going to be breaking down, recapping today's 15 games and looking forward to
Mm-hmm.
Saturday's 15-game action.
Yep. So today's 15-game slate was full of offense, that's for sure. I think there was like 12 teams that scored at least 6 runs or more today. And kind of looking at the pitching slate, I could have guessed that. I mean, it didn't seem like there's a lot of it seems like there was a lot of pitchers to attack today, you know. But getting the right players in your lineup as far as hitters is always an issue on a 15-game slate, especially one with some suspect pitching. So today was kind of a challenge, I would fair to say.
Yeah, my day was Jimmy Nelson and a Nat stack. So
Yeah, I mean, nobody saw that coming from Jimmy Nelson, man. I mean, he's been one of the most consistent pitchers all year long. You know, he really hasn't even gotten blown up, but he ran into a buzzsaw with the Reds coming to town, coming to Milwaukee. So just didn't have it today, and that stuff's going to happen in DFS.
yeah, I knew the risk I was taking. But it is what it is. Nats. I went 5 deep on them, in one line and 4 deep on another. They were my core stack of the day. So, such is
Yeah, that
life.
shit's happened to me.
I
I
cashed on.
think last time that happened to me was in Nationals Park too. Actually, they've just been killing people.
It's always in Nationals Park, man.
I know.
Cashed on the late, so I made some of that money back. So I'm not totally mad. But
Mhm.
again, I knew the risk going into it. Real quick, couple shout outs from last night. Jerome Spence brought home 10K, his second GPP win since joining the Phenoms a month and a
Wow.
half ago. And then Rob got 5th place in a GPP. This guy stays winning. Michael Gray cashed in 5 out of his 6 lineups tonight. And then Dan, of course, top 5 in another arcade GPP.
Wow. Good stuff. So Dan's been killing the arcade stuff, and I mean, 2 GPPs. I mean, that doesn't even happen. That's awesome, man. Especially on a 15-game slate. Good shit.
Yeah. So, but that is that. The one line that I had a chance to cash in. Oops, I put the wrong guy up. Hold on, hold on. Did I do the same thing? There you go. The one guy or the one line I had a chance to cash in was my Jimmy Nelson, Carlos Carrasco line. Before Jimmy Nelson pitched, I was looking really good, and then that happened. But yeah, man, Carlos Carrasco balled out. Talked about him in the write-up about the highest upside on the slate. In fact, I wrote that in there. I said he very well has the potential to go out and be the highest scoring pitcher, and sure enough, he was. And he was cheapish compared to a couple other pitchers on the slate.
Yeah, I think he took a no-hitter into the 7th inning, if I'm not mistaken.
He did.
Which is the second time in, I think, as many years that he's took a no-hitter into the 7th inning or later against the Rays. So maybe he just has this team's number. But yeah, got the matchup, 8 shutout innings. So good stuff from him, man. And then the rest of the options. I mean, 39 DraftKings points, 64 kind of just was ahead above the rest of the field. Everybody else was kind of bunched up here. I think the most surprising guy to me is still Ubaldo Jimenez. Struck out 11 guys today.
That's his Baltimore career high.
Yeah, it's kind of come out of nowhere. This whole these last 3 starts now. He's been on this top 5 list. And then Cole Hamels, surprising 2 good starts in a row. Same with Tyone as well. Another 2 good starts in a row, and kind of a bounce back from Eddie Rodriguez against the Yanks tonight.
Yes, sir. And then King of the Diamond was Eddie Rosario. Manuel Margot made a strong push at the end there. Fell a couple points short. Zach Crozart, Mike Moustakas, 2-homer game. Nelson Cruz, a home run, 2 doubles. Rounding out your top 5. Obviously, no stack here on the top 5, but definitely worthy one-off performances. Surprising to not see any Brewers and only one red on this list with the offense that was in this game. But that was the night. I think Mike froze up on us. So, I'll continue while he fixes the Skype. Alright, so looking ahead at tomorrow, we have a 15-game slate on FanDuel. The first two games are Pittsburgh, Toronto, and Boston, New York. On DraftKings, they eliminate the Pittsburgh-Toronto game, and the early is a 3-game with Boston, New York, Cleveland, Tampa, and the other 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 Eastern game. So, looking at Pittsburgh, Toronto, I like Trevor Williams here. Not really rushing to pitch Riley. Obviously, his first appearance this year for Toronto. So, not going to rush to pitch him, but I don't find myself stacking Pittsburgh. I think, quite honestly, if I'm on FanDuel, I'm fading this entire slate because I really don't want to stack Pittsburgh, but I don't want to stack New York or Boston either against Severino and Pomeranz. So if you're looking at it from this 2-game perspective, I guess you would probably go Toronto. And then the splits you see up on the screen here are last 30 days so the last 30 days splits, right? So home versus left, home versus right. Wanted to give a little more updated because the season splits are cool, but trades happen, things like that. So these are your last 30 days rolling average splits here. So Toronto's obviously been hot. They've been play well at home. That would be the spot I go and then find one-offs elsewhere. And then looking at this Boston-New York game, I actually think both pitchers are in play. New York, really, really cold right now. They're striking out a ton. Now, home versus lefties is their best split, but Eddie Rodriguez obviously just had a good game there. Drew Pomeranz has tremendous K upside. And then Luis Severino has been on another level as of late. His last 14 days, he has an xFIP under 3. He's been fantastic. Yo, what is up, Tommy? Been a week since I started watching this and cashed 5 out of 7 times. That is what's up, my dude. Appreciate the love. Glad to hear the winnings are coming in. So looking at Boston, New York. So we're looking at Luis Severino here, right? Andrew Pomeranz. But Luis Severino, what he's been doing. Over his last 30 days, he has an xFIP of 3.25. It gets even better. His last 14, it's 3.18. Right? His last 7, it's 2.75. This dude has been electric of late. And he's just getting better and better. Over his last 30 days, strikeout rate of 29%. Over his last 14, 36%. Luis Severino's that dude. There's no way I'm playing any Boston bats tomorrow. And if you're playing on FanDuel in the slate, he's that guy to pitch. But Drew Pomeranz, worthy pivot if you want to get away from the Severino chalk. Looking at Cleveland, Tampa, Minnesota, Detroit. That is the other 2 games on the... mic dropped. Looking at Cleveland, Tampa, and Minnesota, Detroit. Chris Archer is another dude that has been pitching fantastic of late. If you're on this early slate in DraftKings, you really got to look and see Archer, Severino. So we know Archer, much better pitcher at home. Electric stuff at home. On the year, an xFIP under 3 at home. Now, over his recent performance, his last 30, he's got his K rate of 32% and his swinging strike rate of 15%. Those numbers they correlate really well. They line up. His xFIP is 3.27, and it gets a little better. Over his last 14, xFIP 3.2. His K rate drops a little bit, but still a guy I can get behind against Cleveland. Away versus righties, they struggled. They just struggled versus Blake Snell. Now, he's obviously a lefty, but they're a better home team than they are away. I like Archer in this spot tomorrow. And then I'm torn on what to do with Mike Clevenger here, right? Tampa Bay has been dreadful, like bad. Striking out a ton, 25% versus lefties, 28 versus righties, right? Their average is, at home versus righties in the last 30 days, an average of only 205. ISO of 119. The problem is Clevenger has been uber bad of late. His regression hit him like a goddamn wrecking ball. His xFIP over his last 3 starts is 7.16. enormously high. So something's got to give here. We've seen the K upside that he's had. I think it's worth a GPP play on this slate if you want to find a paydown option. But god damn, man, he's been so bad. So, gonna have to pick and choose there. I don't know that I stack Tampa, but Clevenger has been really, really bad, giving up a hard contact of almost 50%. That they're gonna be a low-owned stack that could rebound here. Minnesota, Detroit, we have Jordan Zimmerman and Jose Berrios. Berrios, not a guy I'm going to look to pitch here. Detroit at home is just a different team. Now, they have not been as good at home versus righties. They kill lefties, home or away. Righties a little bit of a different situation. And Jose Berrios has done much, much better versus righties than he has versus lefties. So that plays well for him here. Still don't think I play him on a slate with Archer and Severino. I just don't see enough upside from Berrios to match those two guys. Jordan Zimmerman, on the other hand, I think we can attack him. It's not... Minnesota's just... they're not my favorite team to stack. I think you look at the two hot bats in Kepler and Rosario. But other than that, man, Jordan Zimmerman's bad. But Minnesota's bad as well. So I don't know which direction to go there. Yo.
Sorry about that. I don't know what the heck happened, man. It's frustrating, but where are we at?
Now we're on New York and Philadelphia.
Okay.
So, looking at Philadelphia, Aaron Nola might be my favorite pitcher on the slate tomorrow. New York has been striking out quite a bit. 30% in their last 7, 28 in their last 14. A lot to like here about Aaron Nola. He has been dominant. He's got, let me get his numbers real quick here. So, Aaron Nola, over his last 30 days, a K rate of 27.5%, an XFIP of 3.4, and a swing and strike rate of 11%. So those numbers definitely validate his strikeouts. I expect it to continue here.
Yeah, you definitely think so. I mean, it's been consistent, too. 7 or more strikeouts in 9 of his last 10 games, so you can take that back even further. His stuff's been pretty swing and miss type stuff, and it kind of just validates who this guy's been his whole career. I think, last year was injury plagued, and since he's been back from his brief stint this year, it's been awesome, man. We've seen some really awesome games out of Aaron Nola. So, like you said, the Mets haven't striking out a ton. Obviously, they put 2 good games together, a couple of long balls today, so there is some concern, but I think you can say there's some concern about all these pitchers. So 10-4 is a hefty price to pay, but I don't know. Out of the pay up options on DraftKings, he definitely, if not my favorite, one of my favorites.
Yeah, he is my favorite. He's my favorite pitcher on the entire slate. Steven Matz, definitely can attack him. Philadelphia remains hot. Mentioned them today. I thought I was a day early on them with DeGrom, but went right back to him today, and they did well. So, looking at San Fran and Washington, Max Scherzer, love the play on FanDuel. 11-8, perfect, fair price. I can do it. DraftKings, no fucking way. I'm paying $14K for Max Scherzer against the Giants. He does have a great game versus them already this year. I believe it was close to 70 DraftKings points, but I don't know, man. 14K is tough to swallow. I can't get.
Well, do you think they're gonna play a doubleheader today? I don't.
No, it's gonna be
because
on
right
Sunday.
now I would imagine.
It's on Sunday.
I would imagine they would just push Edwin Jackson back, wouldn't they? Instead of starting Max Scherzer, wouldn't they just push the 2 pitchers back that were supposed to start today?
I don't know. Let's see what they have.
Perhaps.
It might be Stratton and Edwin Jackson again.
Yeah, I imagine they would. Unless, they have Max on some extra rest and they just want to get him in the game.
Let's see if any of these sites have updated.
Probable pitchers.
Yeah, you're
if
right.
it is
They did. They just pushed him back.
Okay. Yeah, trying to look on MLB.com. But yeah, if it is Edwin Jackson, I know it depends on what his price. If it is what it is today on DraftKings, it was like 7,500 or something. I don't know. Yeah, I know he's had a couple of good starts in a row leading into this game against San Francisco, but it is 73. It just seems like it's too high to me for a guy that's been wild and a team that doesn't strike out a ton, you know?
Yep. Yeah, so that changes this completely. That makes Aaron Nola the pay-up option on DraftKings. He is the most expensive guy. Changes a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think Carlos Martinez is 11-2, so he'd be the most expensive. But yeah, I don't think he's in consideration at 11-2. That seems really high for Carlos Martinez as well. So yeah, I don't think I would go any higher than Aaron Nola tomorrow, given the matchup.
Yeah. I still go back to a Washington stack then against Chris Stratton. I was on them today. Yeah. I'll go right back to him tomorrow. Tim Adelman, Brent Suter. I think Suter is still in play for me as an SP2 option. Tim Adelman definitely can attack here. I could see this being a game stack either way, but Cincinnati does hit righties better than lefties, at least of late. So I prefer a Milwaukee stack here over a Cincinnati stack, and I am looking at Suter.
Yeah, they do have, some really talented lefties, obviously, in that lineup. And I don't know, with the step back that Suter's taken in his last two starts and how good Cincinnati has been this past week. I know they just played a 4-game series against San Diego, but still, I don't know, this offense seems to be clicking right now. So I don't think I'm going to pitch Suter tomorrow.
That's fair. Colorado and Miami. There is no pitcher on this slate trending more upward than Jeff Hoffman right now.
Yeah.
Over from his last 30 days to his last 14 days, his K rate has jumped 8%, his xFIP has gone down 2 points, and his swing and strike rate has jumped 2%, with his fly ball rate dropping almost 15%. Now, he obviously has one of the toughest matchups on the entire slate in Miami. And Miami hits righties a ton better than lefties. Jeff Hoffman also is pretty damn good on the road, so something's got to give here. You can pick and choose. I think Hoffman is worth a GPP dart at his price.
I think that's kind of what he is, or what he's shown he is, because we've seen starts where he's walked 3, 4, 5 guys, and the command hasn't been there. But he still gets 3 to 5 strikeouts. And then the starts where he does have his command, he doesn't walk anybody, or maybe one guy, and then will strike out 8 to 10. So, that's what you're going to see out of a young, hard thrower. He does have a good curve ball and, high 90s fastball. So he's got the stuff if he's turned it on. Obviously, it's like you said, he's coming off a really good start. So, and it is away from Coors. So I do like the play. I think it also just comes down to who else is on the slate to pitch. There really isn't anybody around him in price that I want to take a second look at. Mm-hmm. So that factors into it as well.
And then
it's still not a comfortable play. But
I really don't like Colorado on the road, but against Nicolino here, I think that they got to get some consideration. He is a lefty, and they mash lefties, mm-hmm. So I'm looking there. But they are priced up as always, so I don't know that I get there.
Yeah, kind of usual suspect situation with Colorado bats for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, Nicolino, probably the worst, if not bottom 3 pitchers on this whole slate.
We got Ian Kennedy and James Shields. I think Kansas City will probably be the chalk tomorrow, as is usually the case against James Shields. In recent performance, they've been better at home than they have been on the road, but over the course of the season, they've been a better away team than they are home team. But this is a fantastic hitting park. I think everything lines up for a Kansas City stack here to be in play, especially the lefties, where James Shields almost holds a home run per 9 of 4. So your typical suspects there: Melky, Moose, Hosmer, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yep, the lefties, like you said. And he just got roughed up by Kansas City not more than a month ago. gave up 6 earned runs in that start. Didn't make it out of the 4th or 5th inning. So, yeah, I could see that being chalky. I definitely see myself going there today.
Yeah, and then Atlanta, St. Louis. St. Louis remains the hottest team in baseball right now, going up against Lucas Sims, who's not exactly fared well. I'm all over a St. Louis stack tomorrow. I think Sims is a pitcher to attack. I could get behind a Kansas City, St. Louis. Throw an express slate in the main stack here. And then Carlos Martinez. He's pitched really, really well of late, but I think I'd still play Aaron Nola over Carlos Martinez.
It's just the price, man. It's way too much. 11-2 is just he had that bounce back start in Kansas City where he only gave up 2 earned, but before that he had like an ERA like over 6 since the start of July. So he was really getting roughed up, really having a tough time finding the strike zone. Like I said, he had that bounce back start. So we'll see if that means he goes on a trends in the opposite direction. He still's got great strikeout stuff, great swing and miss potential if he's on.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fade for me, but I do.
It's too much. Yeah, I agree.
Houston, Texas. Mike Fiers and Tyson Ross. Mike Fiers has been trending in the wrong direction of late, and I don't expect it to get any better tomorrow. Houston versus righties at home, elite matchup here. I love a Texas stack, and then Houston has all of a sudden gone cold in the last 4 games. They woke up a little bit when they got Texas's bullpen. I could see them having a good game against Tyson Ross. This is going to be a pitcher fade for me, but I'm definitely favoring a Texas stack here.
And what do I keep saying all year about teams that are all hitting together, generally all stop hitting together. And that's like kind of what we're seeing with Houston. Now, I'm totally on board with what you said with Texas. I mean, that's how Fiers gets beat with the long ball, and that's what Texas does best. So
yep.
I could see a couple home runs in this game for the Texas guys, mainly the lefties.
Yeah, at home versus righties, they hold a 302 average, 267 ISO, and almost a 400 WOBA in the last 30 days. So definitely like me.
I would venture to guess that they've hit the most home runs of any team in baseball, given that split.
Could be. I haven't looked at that exact one, but I could see it.
Another top 5 overall in home runs in the league.
We got the Cubs and Arizona Diamondbacks, John Lester and Patrick Corbin. I think I'm going to go right back to another Cubs stack tomorrow. Corbin is better at home, but he's been bad of late. Cubs are one of the hottest teams in baseball. They're not striking out. They're righties. I love here. It sucks Contreras is not playing, but I can still get behind some Cubs bats here.
Against the lefty, obviously we're going to see a totally different lineup, as is customary with Joe Madden. But yeah, I agree. I think this is potential for a game stack as well. I know John Lester, people don't really like to go there, and it is a lefty, and I know Arizona doesn't hit lefties as well.
But I don't know if I can attack Lester, man. They didn't really get anything going against John Lackey. I don't know if
True.
Lester's...
True. There are a lot of potential places to go on this slate as well. It could be a tricky one. It is 11 game main, right? Or 12 game main, something like that. So, like today, I mean, when there's a lot of potential areas to go, and if we see something like we saw today with a lot of teams outscoring their implied run totals, it's hard to nail down, especially if you're playing one lineup where the best bats are going to go. So that to me always makes me scale back.
Yeah, I can see that. We got Baltimore, Oakland. Dylan Bundy can't ignore what he's been doing of late, and Oakland, they still strike out a ton. Obviously, Ubaldo just had a Baltimore career high for himself in strikeouts with 11. Dylan Bundy has been mowing people down his last couple starts. You talk about a pitcher also trending upward, similar to Jeff Hoffman. Dylan Bundy in his last couple starts. So from his last 30 to last 14 days, his xFIP has dropped 1.39 points. His fly ball is down 9%, and his strikeout rate is up 6%. So I like this guy trending in a positive direction. Maybe August is his month. Since that calendar turned, he has had 2 fantastic starts, and he gets an Oakland team that's still free swinging.
Yeah, I mean, talking about 2 straight starts where he was the ace of the day, 30-plus points. Now, I did read today that they are concerned with his innings, and they are actually planning his starts going forward to try to get him extra rest. And those last 2 starts came on extra rest, and this start will not be on extra rest for what it's worth. But going forward, they plan on every start of his having an extra day of rest. It's like part of the plan, apparently, from what Buck Showalter said. So I don't know if you buy into that, but it's worth noting.
Okay. And then Sean Manaea, definitely can attack him here. Baltimore, also one of the hottest teams in baseball of late. Over the last 7 days, the Orioles are a top 6 team in the league with a 348 WOBA and a 270 ISO. That is second in baseball over that time period. And Sean Manaea has been bad, man. Last 14 days, 5.4 xFIP, home run per 9 of 3.3. Baltimore's got some power in this lineup, so definitely like a Baltimore stack.
He just gotta stop striking people out, man. He's got a combined 10 strikeouts in his last 4 starts, and that's his game. I think if he wasn't striking people out, the other outcome was the ball getting hit hard or him walking the person.
Yeah.
There just really was no weak contact from this guy. So I don't know if there's been a decline in velocity or what's going on with him, but I agree. I think if you look at what Baltimore's been doing, it's not a lineup that has a ton of lefties either. So going up against a lefty, I don't see how that would be a negative for them. I agree. Combined for 6 homers over those last 4 starts as well, off Sean Manaea.
Yeah, I like that stack option with Baltimore. We got Wallace Chacin on the road. Definitely got to look at some Dodgers bats there. And then Hyun-Jin Ryu. This guy has been pitching fantastic as well. Also another guy trending in the right direction. So his last 30 days, Ryu has a strikeout rate of 30.3%, a swing and strike rate of 13. That is good for best on the entire slate, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, second best on the entire slate, second only to Chris Archer, and an xFIP of 2.69. Gets a little better over the last 14 days, a 33% strikeout rate and a 2.2 xFIP. Yeah. Now,
talk about a reality check, man. When Kershaw went down and this rotation spot kind of opened up, him and Kenta Maeda both had their 2 best starts of the season back to back. So that's kind of what's happened with Ryu as well. He's had his 2 best starts of the season. They're kind of both vying for that spot in the rotation.
Yep.
His changeup is his out pitch. From what I've heard from interviews from players after the game, it's very well disguised for what it's worth. I know the Padres aren't as free swinging at the fastball as they once were.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is their strikeout rate is down. Over the last 30 days, they're better versus lefties than righties in terms of ISO. WOBA, they're a little down, so they're kind of home run or not too much. But I always favor pitching over hitting, and I think Ryu is worth a look tomorrow. The Padres, just because they've been striking out less doesn't mean they can't still strike out, and what Ryu's been doing as of late is hard to ignore.
Yeah, no, I definitely pencil in a good shot to get to that 7 strikeout benchmark for Ryu tomorrow. Probably as good as anybody on this slate. So I definitely think him and Nola are the 2 guys that I'm looking at in the top tier.
Okay. And then finally, we got LA and Seattle, JC Ramirez and Erasmo Ramirez. I I'm looking at an LA stack for sure against the Rossmo here. They put up another 6 runs tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, with Mike Trout, it's kind of the price you pay. They're just going to walk him whenever they get the opportunity, and that's what you saw tonight. 4 walks, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Really?
yep.
I didn't know it was that many.
Yep.
Wow.
He didn't.
Why not? I mean, look at the Angels lineup. That's what I'd be playing too.
Well, the problem is the Angels around him are hitting. Anderson Simmons is a hitter this year.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Marte hit a home run, of course, tonight. But yeah, I think I definitely like an LA spot here. And then Seattle's been mad hot as well. I think this is a game stack, but the late slate is going to have some runs on it, in my opinion. Between Los Angeles, I think the Seattle LA game is going to be high scoring with neither team.
Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore. Neither team in LA and Seattle have a fantastic bullpen either. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cruz followed up his 2 home run game and then his home run game with another home run today and 2 doubles. So this guy's on fire. Cano is also batting like 350 over the last 10 games.
yeah,
The Seattle team's clicking as well. I like a game stack in this one. But trying to find the bats on LA is always an issue. Like you just mentioned, Jeffrey Marte was the guy today. You know, it's tough.
Pujols got a vote of
Yeah,
confidence
Pujols
for
got
Socha, which is, I mean, I don't know if you buy into that being.
the last thing he needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't get like 3 hits today as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Sterling's asked, read that late slate games have lower ownership if you play them in the main. That is 100% true. Big fan of that. If you find a late game stack, I love it. Like tonight, I was looking at the Cubs as a later game stack, and of course that came through. 8 runs, I believe. So they're always lower owned, always.
It's especially true in the larger entry tournaments because the people that make larger entry lineups would have to make their lineups prior to those lines coming out. So if you get someone who is introduced to a lineup, probably that generally isn't a starter, like a platoon player or something like that,
lower ownership.
They generally are going to have very low ownership because people, when they build their lineups, aren't privy to that information at that point.
Absolutely. So, all right, guys. Well, that is where we are at. As always, if you guys are interested in joining the Phenom, getting all those write-ups, finding out in detail, obviously, why we're on plays, the stats to show why we're on those plays, and then, of course, all the detailed stacks and the community, chopping it up with all the guys. You know, hit up some of the guys that you see winning. Jerome, 10K, second GPP. Rob's a daily winner, man. So hit those guys up. Dan and Arcade, obviously. Benefits of joining the community, and of course you get it for free. 7 days free trial, no strings attached. Just cancel it before it's up if you don't find it useful. But we'll do everything we can to make sure you get the most out of it. So
yeah, stay tuned for some more detailed analysis if you are a member, obviously tomorrow. And like Kyle said, you've got people in there that have perfected their process. Everybody's process is different when you play DFS every day. So pick our brains, pick anybody who's willing to listen. It's all some teamwork, man. It's a lot of fun.
yes, sir. So all right, guys. Well, have a wonderful and profitable Saturday. We'll be back tomorrow night breaking down Sunday's slate. I'll have all the write-ups in there for you guys in the River Group, and let's see some more cashing.
All right, guys. Have a good night.